Well. Taylor finally made it.
I did.
He finally made it to a recording session of the NY Gun Guys.
Work and life, my
the
friends.
New York Gun Guys.
We are the New York Gun Guys.
I wasn't sure when we would ever have another episode for you because Taylor went missing in action.
Yeah, I mean, listen, new dad, work changes, schedule changes, life, and then trying to balance, John works pretty much opposite schedules I do, so it's...
Well, I work opposite schedule of everybody.
Well, that's true, but I mean, it's very limited, so our time that we can get together is already very limited. Plus, sometimes, like, as you heard in the last episode, I don't think I could bring my son here because it's too challenging. I tried, he needs my full and undivided attention most times, and I can't do a podcast and juggle him at the same time. Yeah. So I was a little distracted, so I apologize. But, hey, I wanted to try it to see if I can do it so that way you guys can get more from us. But
I mean, it was pretty good up until the end.
Yeah,
I think the end is where, like, when he started to wake up, it was so funny, man. You were like, yeah, we got like 45 minutes to go. And, like, sure as shit, 45 minutes in, he started to stir.
Yeah,
and
that's what happens, man.
But we are here now,
yes.
And this is the New York Gun Guys. We are a podcast. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram, NYGunGuys, all one word. Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Podbean, and anywhere else you can find a podcast, Spotify, NYGunGuys, all one word. You should be able to find us there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shit going on.
There is. Before we get into that, though, I just wanted to give a gun store shout out. Recently, I was over in Sarco and Easton, Pennsylvania. If anybody who knows military surplus knows the name Sarco, they have a retail location. I've been going there for years, and I stopped in there since the last time I was there was before the pandemic, so it was a while. And still great guys there. The store is a little pick through, but it's the kind of place where if you need like a fucking firing pin spring for a K98, which is something I picked up, they have it. It's like, odds, ends, little things. They didn't raise the prices on the surplus ammo that I bought. It was the same as before the pandemic. So
that's because it's probably been sitting there since before the pandemic.
Yeah, no, it has, no doubt. But I mean, even the guy behind the counter, I was saying, "Oh wow, yeah, I'll take some." He's like, "Yeah, we didn't raise our prices, just because we're not scumbags."
Yeah,
I'm like, that's cool.
Right.
So just figured, what, we don't give shout outs too often to gun shops, but definitely wanted to give them a shout out and thank you for good service.
Well, there's the shout out.
Yeah, and I just love walking through there, man. It's like a fucking museum almost.
I've never been. You didn't invite me.
Well, we'll go.
And I'm a little sad. You did not even text me to offer me to get me some 9mm, and I've been
have
fiending.
An ammo limit. I didn't ask how much the 9mm was, but because I just picked up, dude, I got 2 boxes of 8 Mauser and 4 boxes of Czech Mosin ammo. The 8 Mauser, bro, I see prices online for 8 Mauser going for like $2 a shot, bro. It was a little pricey, but $15 a box or $20. So, I mean, what is that, like 70-something cents a shot? I mean, I'll take it. And it's PPU, some good shit. And the Czech light ball 7.62 by 54 rimmed is really good ammo.
Still should have grabbed me.
We'll just make a road trip, bro. Stogie Cigar road trip.
You're driving.
Yeah, sure, fuck it.
So I could enjoy. It's so funny. This off topic, but you mentioned stogies and sticks and cigars. When we were driving out to my bachelor party, I smoked that one. That must have been like the longest cigar I've ever smoked.
It really
was. I smoked that cigar for like 2 hours.
It really
and it's not a 2-hour cigar.
I went through like one and mine actually I went through mine pretty quickly.
I don't even know. Like I was just like our conversation and it was just like the perfect. It just burnt so good. It was really like a fucking just a fantastic start to a fucking great weekend.
Oh, definitely.
But that's. The stories shall not be told. But
anyway, moving on.
Our wives listen to this. But
mine doesn't.
My wife listens. I think she does sometimes, but let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. We're living in like the we're taking your guns situation
fucking
right now.
Wild, man.
And they're pushing pretty hard. We had another mass shooting.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Which I just want to point out. I'm sure most of you know that mass shootings are defined as like a shooting where if there's like four or more people are shot, it's considered a mass shooting.
Not killed, but shot.
Right. So when you see on the news like that there was like 100 mass shootings, just keep in mind that it's not like 100 mass shootings where 1,000 babies were killed.
Right.
It's not like that.
CNN has a running list of all the mass shootings since that one that took place in the last month.
Yeah.
And, you read through a lot of them, and it's like, 4 people at a house party were shot.
Right.
Police said a dice game turned violent.
Right. Right.
One was in a house party.
A party bus.
Yeah, party bus,
Right.
drive-by.
Right.
These aren't the kind of shootings that fit their narrative only
Right.
just to say, so many mass shootings.
Right.
But then when you look at it, it's like, well, when somebody shoots a firearm from a moving vehicle into a house party,
Right.
what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that. We're also going to touch on the newest police-involved shootings. I want to talk about the new Minneapolis shooting, the accidental shooting, and then talk about the 13-year-old boy. But let's start with this mass shooting nonsense.
Yeah.
And
So
what's the latest one? What's the
well,
latest one?
It was in Indianapolis, I believe, at a FedEx facility.
Yeah, and I didn't hear about this one.
19-year-old guy went in and shot 8 people, I'm pretty sure, and then took his own life. It lasted only a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid,
How many died?
I believe 8.
That's a lot
killed
of people.
8 people. Yeah.
Fuck.
19-year-old kid, former employee,
God.
did it. And basically, the kid was known to law enforcement. In March, I'm just reading from CNN.
Yeah,
I don't like CNN, but a lot of times they are a big news source and they do have relevant information.
I think that this was a total failure of government, but
it really was. So his mom said that his mom told law enforcement in March of 2020 that he might attempt suicide by cop, and then the FBI Indianapolis office, said in a statement, he was placed in an immediate mental health temporary hold by the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. He also said a shotgun was seized at the residence. Based on items observed in the suspect's bedroom at the time, he was interviewed by the FBI in 2020. No racially motivated violent extremism ideology was identified during the course of the assessment, and no criminal violation was found. The shotgun was not returned to the suspect. Also, that the kid's name was in 2 past incident reports from the Indianapolis police, and they didn't have any information from the first report. But there was also a 2020 report with an FBI statement. So the FBI was involved. I mean,
yeah.
And they're trying to determine a motive. They're trying to figure out what was going on. But then
They're going to use this whole thing to push red flag laws.
well, that's the whole thing. So, this would have been a prime example for the left.
And you know what's crazy? A red flag law probably would have helped.
Yeah, and this is what I'm getting
And
at.
I really hate to say it. I don't think that red flag laws are very good. The problem is this is a total fail of government.
Right.
Because the government was already involved in this person's life, and the government had pretty much dropped the ball. Like, why was there anything triggered?
Right.
Because the guns were then legally purchased.
Yeah, he then legally purchased 2 firearms. So what? This guy was known to the FBI and to law enforcement. He had a history of the gun being removed from him, even though no crime was committed. And then he goes out and buys 2 more guns. And like John said, we hate to say it, but in the case of a, quote, red flag law, this would have been the shining example.
Sure.
So
Well, I think really what it comes down to is we can't, just because one person fell through the cracks, we can't limit the rights of everybody else.
yeah.
And that's really what it comes down to. I mean, dealing with people's rights, although we see it as being black and white, there's a lot of walking the line.
Right.
There's only so much the government can do, which is obviously by design. There's only so much the government can do before it becomes, a rights issue.
Right. So if he was really a danger to others and themselves, there should have been more done.
Sure.
But
with the current situation that they have, no criminality,
right.
there really was nothing else they could have done. So, was it a failure of government, or was he literally just one of the people who have slipped through the cracks?
Could be just like that kid Dylan Roof in Charleston, South Carolina, the guy that went into the church and killed all the worshipers there.
Right.
Again, these people. It kind of seems to be a thing with even with the one that shot up the grocery store in Boulder. He was known to police and the authorities, and yet this happened. So I mean, I don't know what could have stopped this. I don't have the answers. Although I think
some FedEx employees with some concealed carries might have stopped it.
Yeah, FedEx is a gun-free facility.
That didn't stop anything.
No, it did not stop anything.
How come that's not a topic? Why are we not talking about how the gun-free zone didn't stop this guy?
I don't know. If somebody is going to go commit a crime, they want to not be shot back at.
Right.
So, I mean, if I have to put my criminal hat on, let me put this hat on. It doesn't fit because I'm not a criminal, but
Fits very well. He's looking at me like I'm nuts.
Well, I am a little nutty, but I'm not.
Your head's a little too big for that
I got
fucking
a big
hat.
fucking head. I want the least resistance possible. I want to do the most damage possible. So again, this kid, this 19-year-old, listen, the 19-year-old is a fucking adult as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah,
but I say
for sure.
kid because I saw his mugshot. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I'm sure they used like the.
Yeah. And it's all going to be, he was a white person basically. So now the left is again marching beating the drum of white terrorism and all this. And, that, people are just going to drum up race in order to push their own agenda. I don't see a way around that. But
was this a racist? I mean, did he target anybody?
No.
Okay.
Although they did make a point to saying that a bunch of Sikh, Indian Sikh people died. So CNN made it a point to point that out.
Yeah, but they weren't like specifically targeted.
No, they weren't targeted. There's apparently a large Sikh community there, so apparently a lot of Sikh people.
So it makes sense then. Yeah.
Yeah, but they pointed that out just to push a racial narrative. Oh, by the way, in case anyone hasn't seen Project Veritas, did you see that video, John? I think I sent it to you.
I didn't see the video, but I heard like clips of it that they were just like
It's really damning, man.
Yeah,
Project Veritas guy went undercover he interviewed a technical director of CNN and basically exposed all their bullshit. Basically, the guy admitted, we push propaganda. We basically got Trump out of office. We're going to be pushing climate change as the next big topic. They had the COVID deaths on the side. He's like, I wish that the numbers were more.
They would like do what they could to inflate them.
Yeah.
And he said, I think he's quoted to say like fear sells.
Yeah.
Fear sells ads or something. Right.
Yeah.
So whatever.
So the media, CNN. I was reading from CNN just now, but because. They are, let's just say, a big news, and they are like they do list facts, and I do, not skim through, but I cut out the bullshit. I just try to get the facts, what was said, etc.
Well, I
could go to the Associated Press for the same thing, but CNN usually is the first one that comes up.
Yeah, but listing the definition based mass shootings that they have listed. That's in their favor. So obviously that's obviously they're a good source for that.
The head of Project Veritas was banned off of Twitter.
So great.
I know.
It's amazing.
And nobody fucking thinks that there's a problem with this. Like he exposed CNN and then he's banned for like allegedly like spam posts or spam accounts. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think that
I'm not on Twitter. I could give a fuck about
I think that left-leaning people must realize this, but they're just like, where
put my head in the sand.
Yeah, if we just don't talk about it, maybe
it'll
no
go
one
away.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not they're going to try their darndest. Basically, these big tech companies are going to just go one step too far, and then they're just going to basically like lose their protections. Yeah. They're acting like publishers.
Yeah, they are.
So it's a big problem.
They're not a platform; they're a publisher now, and they have to be held as
when you start determining what gets seen and what doesn't seen, they're really walking a line. They really.
I had a conversation with somebody that the other day that basically, this person, the person I was with over the weekend, and basically they were saying how Facebook should moderate, like basically like we were talking about like the fact checking and stuff, and they're like, Facebook should stop the spread of misinformation, should stop the spread of and should fact check. And I'm like, why? Like, why should they? You should be able to post whatever you want, and then the other person on the receiving end should have the intellect or the choice to like believe it or not. Well, people post all these things, and then they spread lies and misinformation. People believe it, and they perpetuate. I'm like, well, then they're fucking morons. Like, are you not allowed to be an idiot?
That also happens on the left.
It happens everywhere. But what I was getting at...
And the problem is that only the right seems to be the people who are censored.
Right. And what I was getting at...
That's the complaint.
People should be able to, no matter their view, be able to express it, whether it's true or not.
Sure.
And then
the
public should be able to... Like, I basically... I made an analogy to this. Let's just say you're standing in the middle of Times Square.
Right.
There's a guy in a soapbox that's saying the Earth is flat, the world is flat, the galaxy doesn't exist. Are you going to take what he says is true, or are you just going to walk the fuck away?
Right.
You could do the same thing on the internet. Just don't listen to what people have to say.
Yeah.
So it blows my mind that people are like, oh, Facebook needs to moderate content and fact check. I'm like, how about you just like do your own research?
You have the right to be misinformed if you want to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
So why is Facebook deciding we're going to prevent you from being misinformed?
Because the left has a moral compass that they decide to follow only when it suits them.
Of course.
Not to get too off topic on that, but that just fucking irks me.
Yeah, no, it irks me too. But I've completely and totally given up on big tech.
Yeah.
There's no helping them, and they're gonna destroy themselves. It's only a matter of time until the government regulates them. And
my time on social media is very limited, only to, let's just say, podcast stuff,
I scroll a lot, man.
and only to really like the collecting groups I belong to.
I scroll like when I'm bored. Like I'll just scroll on like TikTok.
Yeah,
Just watch.
I don't do TikTok.
Well, that's because you're a conspiracy theorist.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist, bro. Dude, I just not to get too off topic here. I have an article that
Not to get too off topic from being off topic.
I have an article here from Variety.com. China launches hotline to report online comments that, quote, distort history or, quote, deny its cultural excellence. So China is basically...
But China does not control the TikTok here.
No, I know. But what I'm getting at is, man, this is what fucking they can do. They can get people to, like, people on Facebook, oh, you're a Trump supporter? I'm going to report you. I'm going to do this. And then we're going to be like fucking China.
Yeah.
So just I don't want to be accused of anti-Asian racism.
What's good about what I don't know if you're noticing about what the right has been doing is pretty much every time they cancel something or every time they do something where it like puts makes the right not want to use a product, they just create the product but like right leaning.
Right.
Like Parler.
Yeah.
Parler came back,
It's back, yeah,
Right.
but it doesn't have the...
What about
You don't really hear much about it.
Right. What about Rumble? Rumble is like a YouTube replacement because they don't censor.
And you know what the funny thing is? There's been replacements on the right, especially in the gun circles, on YouTube alternatives like Full30.com,
Yeah.
BitChute,
Right.
Floatplane was another one, but Full30 was basically a YouTube alternative that a bunch of gun YouTubers got together and said, hey, we're going to create our own.
Right.
And it doesn't have the power that YouTube does. Nobody really goes to it.
Yeah. Well, that's because people like us need to stop using YouTube.
Yeah.
Rumble is big.
Yeah.
I think Rumble is
I've
very
heard
big.
of that,
Right.
yeah.
So just, one of those things that if you're a right-leaning person, like a lot of people like don't like
Or not even
boycotting.
if you're right-leaning, if you just don't want to be fucking just bullshitted all day.
Sure.
If you want to be more independent.
Sure.
You could be a left and be more independent, and you could see through the left's, you could see through the media
Right.
and all the bullshit they're perpetuating as a left-leaning person. Hopefully
Sure.
people should be able to. Like all that shit that was going on with CNN and Project Veritas, like hopefully people who had CNN on 24 hours a day during the pandemic sees through the bullshit and they're like, wow, I got fucking duped.
No, because they'll just say, "Oh, that's only one person's opinion," and
Right.
you know,
he doesn't know what he's talking
he's just a
about.
staffer.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak for everybody there. And you know what? Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. But then why, like when it happens on the right,
Right.
or it's like, oh well, the right had this happened with the one person, so it means that's the whole right.
Biden's hypocrisy with the
Right.
border crisis and the immigration.
That's just funny.
Did you see in the news the other day? Biden, he kept the cap in place that Trump had put for 15,000 people seeking refugee status. Trump set the lowest cap for refugee status, the cap for the amount of refugees were allowed in 15,000. Biden on his campaign trail said we're going to increase that. That was wrong. And then the other day he kept that number. He signed it and kept that number. And then all the people on the left and the Democrats were like, "What are you doing? You lie!" And he's like, "Oh, I was just kidding." And he went back and they upped the number to like 125,000 or some shit. And
Well, how about
and then circle back Psaki was like, "Well, we got handed a mess and it was complicated, and we just kept that limit in place as a starter, and then we're gonna raise it."
How about the fact that they're gonna like restart the border wall construction because they're realizing they fucked up?
20,000
It's like
unaccompanied minors.
It's like the border wall has stopped, and it's like, well, we're actually gonna, they're like, hey, we heard you were restarting the border wall. He's like, well, some is already paid for, and yeah, no shit,
You
like
fucking
like you fucked up, and now you need to like paint it in such a way where you don't seem like the bad guy, but whatever.
So that way you don't need that. So that way you don't seem like the bad guy to the left. The
Sure.
right is like, listen, you want to do that? Cool, we're on board. Like. But the whole thing is this guy's a fucking clown. And I say it all the time. And I text you the fucking clown emoji all the time whenever anything comes out.
No, I mean, I think we should have secured borders.
I think we do.
And like,
should too.
and I think a lot of people feel that way. But I think where people differ is the wall the answer? And I don't know.
The wall is not the answer. It's a deterrent. What I really think is, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a fucking legal scholar or anything. I just think that the process for citizenship should be more streamlined. It's 2021. We have access to internet, instant communications. If you want to make a deal, say, hey, you're coming from whatever country in South America, El Salvador.
Right.
All right. Make sure you have this, and this documentation.
Right.
Come here. We'll set you up. Maybe have somebody in the U.S. sponsor you. And then we'll just start processing paperwork like that. If you have a sponsor in the U.S., you'll get your citizenship in 2 years. If you don't, you'll have your citizenship in 5 years.
So you're saying pretty much make it easier to become a citizen.
Make it. I think everyone should be able to come here. America's fucking great.
Yeah.
And you know what? But the problem is the way the system is now, it's getting clogged up because you have all the people that are jammed up here trying to do it the right way. And then you have all the people that try to circumvent that coming over the border and getting everything that we have to offer. And then the people are like, well, they just fucking cut the line and they get all this shit. Fuck that. I'm going to cut the line. And then we have a mass fucking entrance. Yeah. If people knew it only took a couple of years, they might, you know what I mean? They might just wait and wait it out.
I think that they might wait it out, but then they know they can go to certain cities that become sanctuary cities where they know that they're not going to be
like
deported.
New York State signed that bill into law that gives $2.1 billion. Did you hear about this? Cuomo signed $2.1 billion because if you were an undocumented worker during the pandemic, you could not collect federal benefits. Like you couldn't get the stimulus.
Which makes sense.
Right. But New York signed a bill giving $2.1 billion to fund. If you're an undocumented worker, you could apply and they would give you a stimulus.
I think that they know that they could pass that and no one would apply because a lot of
they'll apply.
No, a lot will, but not all of them. A lot of people that I deal with,
they don't want to be on the radar.
It's not even that they actually don't know that we're a sanctuary state or city and things like that. They're afraid to call the police because they're very, 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 and these are like real people, like real nice normal people who are just like trying to like take care of their families, and they're victimized by criminals, and they have said that they're afraid to call the police or they don't want to report things because they're afraid that ICE is going to come and deport them.
This was a whole thing that I read in the New York Times,
which is a problem. It is a problem when people who are victim of crimes feel like they can't, help.
And this
is
why I think that streamlining a citizenship process would be a benefit. I mean, it's just we have I think also that with gun laws, like I think we have too many gun laws on the books. I think we have too many citizenship laws. I think we have too many laws.
Yeah,
and
we do.
The thing that the fat needs to be cut. But anyway, not to get too deep into immigration and all that bullshit. We wanted to talk about a couple of the officer involved shootings.
Let's start with the taser mistake. What's your opinion on that? Obviously, I have an opinion. I want to hear your opinion.
Okay.
Now obviously you've never
watched the video.
Right. We all have.
Right. And I had to do a little research after the video and find out, is it really possible to confuse a taser and a gun?
Definitely is.
Okay. Also, a lot of the misinformation people are spreading is like I saw on Facebook a bunch of people like she had to click off the safety on the gun, and I'm like, it's a Glock.
Oh, that was the best.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, these people. Don't know
I saw
what the fuck
somebody
they're
comment
talking
and was like, "There's no way she didn't know because she had to click off the safety on her Glock," and everyone under her, like everybody was like, "Dude, like you should just stop."
All right, my opinion is on this. Yeah, she probably made the mistake and thought it was a taser. She had 26 years on the job, right?
Sure.
So in that moment, I mean, I'm gonna just call it like I see it. She's a fucking moron. Like,
yes,
I think
she fucked up.
She fucked up.
But let me
hard.
ask you this: do you think it was a tragic mistake, or do you think it was on purpose and she's covering it up with a mistake?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was intentional that she. You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Well, do you think it was murder or do you think it was manslaughter?
Basically, I don't think it was murder. I don't think she saw him be like, "I'm gonna shoot him." Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think because you heard her say taser.
Right.
And then,
she said it from the beginning. She was like, I'm going to tase him. Everybody move. I'm going to tase him. Taser.
Right.
Bang. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I fucking shot him. Like,
I think that somebody with that much experience should have known better. Right. I think that she's going to she's definitely going to go to jail. I think she should be charged with manslaughter 100%.
She is being charged with that.
And that's what I'm getting at. I think she should be convicted of it. And you know what? I'm very usually very, objectively like, okay, let's look at things, but that video, man, like she held it out there and it wasn't like, oh, that's a gun, sorry, and then you know what I mean. So it was very clearly in front of her. The taser and a gun feel very different, and in the heat of the moment, I'm not a cop.
Have you held a taser?
Yeah, once.
Like her type of taser?
Yeah, because they had it at one of the gun shops, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then they, I'm not a cop. I'm not in that situation. I don't know what it is, but just an outsider looking in. If I was on that jury, let's just say I'm a juror, right? I'm a jury. I'm looking at the video. Yeah, it's not murder, but it's fucking manslaughter for sure.
I mean, she definitely acted negligently.
Yeah. And when you cause death due to negligence,
Yeah. Well, the problem, you've heard of tunnel vision, right? It is very likely that she was experiencing tunnel vision.
It could be,
and there's other factors. That department does cross draw for their taser, which means that their taser is never in their non-dominant hand. In a lot of places, like New York City is a great example. They use their taser with their non-dominant hand.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, your taser should never be in your dominant hand, which means you would pretty much know if you're shooting somebody with a taser versus a gun, right? Because you know via training that your taser is always in your left hand. And they do that type of training because in high stress situations, when you have tunnel vision and you're not paying attention to, when you train with both, your dominant and non-dominant hand with a taser and a firearm, they tell you basically if you're going to shoot, never have both out.
Right.
Right. Because when you pull
You're
your
gonna
trigger
squeeze
finger,
both.
when you pull your finger on one, you're more likely to pull your trigger on the other hand.
Right.
There's a reason why. When you're consciously thinking about it, you're not going to do that, right? But when you're in the middle of a very high stress situation, somebody has a gun, and you're not, all you're paying attention to is, she pretty much probably had her hand on her gun, thought to herself, I'm going to tase him,
right, and just
pulled the
grabbed
gun, right, all just like,
yeah. And I'm not doubting that it was a mistake.
I
but
think
what
it
I'm
was,
getting at is
it was a tragic mistake.
It
Didn't seem like it was on purpose.
It wasn't intentional. She didn't say, "Oh, I'm going to shoot this guy."
Right.
Like, I'm not going to draw my gun and put a bullet in him. She didn't mean that. I could clearly see that.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is her negligence resulted in the death
Oh,
of
yeah.
the person.
Oh, yeah.
So that is what she should be charged for. Not murder.
Well, I mean, she was arrested. She was charged.
I know. That's what I'm getting at.
The whole thing is she going to go to jail?
Yeah, I think so. 100%. And you know what? Honestly, I mean, I
yeah.
think she should.
Yeah. I mean, she fucked up. But then you also have to think about it this way. Like, let's say you get into a car accident and it's just a straight accident,
right,
and someone dies. You don't always go to jail for that.
No, but that, again, you weren't in a position. Like, if it was an accident, it was an accident. This was negligence. If you ran a red light while drunk and caused an accident, that's negligence.
Correct. I think that's really what it's going to come down to for, like, defense.
Yeah.
Was it negligence or was it just, like, really an accident?
I think it was negligence, man. I mean, honestly, if it was somebody who is new on the job, you can almost say negligence. But she's been on there 26 years, bro.
Yeah. No, I know.
Honestly, I'm sure in her 26 years, she's had similar incidents where she's had to deploy tasers or possibly use deadly force. I don't know.
We don't know that.
I'm speculating. But in 26 years, the odds are fairly well that she's had to draw her weapon and her taser different times.
Yeah.
In 26 years, I'm pretty sure you encounter a lot of different shit.
I think that she's probably going to go to jail.
I think so.
I don't think she's like going to jail forever. I think
no,
she'll
not forever.
Right.
But
so, I mean, there's a group of people out there who have just been saying like this was murder.
She's at least going to get 10 years.
No, probably not.
Mm.
Well, I mean, she might be sentenced to that, but then she won't. She's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be 10 years. You like, manslaughters and things like that. They usually don't. That's usually not that high. 5 years.
Okay.
They might do.
Well, I just think it's tragic.
There's other
the
factors. It's not not like she just fired a gun and it hit somebody. Yeah. I mean, there's other factors involved. Right. That's why. So
I also want to talk about the media spin on everything, because allegedly when the person was pulled over, he called his mother and said, "I'm being pulled over for stuff hanging in my window."
Sure. Apparently,
he had expired tags and then he had a warrant out, and that's why they were going to take him in.
Right.
So, timestamp this, John. Just
what?
Real quick, your phone by the microphone. I'm getting like the wireless noise.
I don't think you'll hear it.
I hear it over my headphones.
Yeah, you might not hear it. Well, whatever.
So
they're gonna have to hear it. You're gonna have to hear it, folks.
We'll just hold the phone lower.
Yeah, I will. Go ahead.
So
people yelling outside. So what were we gonna say?
I was gonna say I lost my train of thought. Oh, the media spin on all of this is that when he was pulled over, he called his mom and said, "Oh, I'm being pulled over for something in my hanging on my mirror."
Right,
but his tags were expired and he had a warrant. Allegedly, the warrant, it was unclear what the warrant was for. Somebody said it was for like a pot charge that like he didn't pay, and then the pandemic happened, and then you could get.
Well, he had a gun on him though.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I thought the warrant was for a gun.
It might have been. Oh, yeah. Okay. Before, that's what the warrant was for. He had an altercation, had a gun on him or something. But anyway, you had a warrant for your arrest, and when you have a warrant, they're going to take you,
Yeah.
Don't try to jump back in the car and cause harm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not victim blaming anybody.
No.
But a big issue here is like, look, a gun charge versus, losing your life, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth it. Just take the gun charge.
Yep.
Fuck it. You're most likely not going to get away, right?
This is
from
the
like running.
1920s. There's
right.
cameras everywhere. They could track you. You know it.
Right.
I joke around. I'm like, you can't get away with shit
You
anymore.
know, it's funny that you say that like people can track you and everything, because that's a big argument for people on why they shouldn't have even like went after him, right? You know, if there is so many ways to track people, why are we even, you know, like finding, like in this example, like fighting somebody to take them, to arrest them?
Right. Well, there's a balance there, because at what point do you just say fuck the laws and let's have lawlessness reign?
Right.
You know,
Right.
the threat of you being chased
Right.
by the police oftentimes makes people stop.
There was a comment I saw on so somebody was commenting on this. They had said, you know, why don't the police have GPS trackers that they could just put on the cars to
Right.
track them, right? And you know, I was like, look, that's a violation of your Fourth Amendment right.
Right.
Police can't do that. And the person wrote back and they wrote, well, I'm sure that this person would have rather had their Fourth Amendment rights violated rather than be killed, which they're a little stupid, because being shot and killed is a Fourth Amendment issue.
Right.
But besides that, and I was just like, look, why you're taking a situation that should have never even happened, right? Like this should have never even happened, and because this situation that should have never even happened, a tragic accident, you want to just wipe away everybody's Fourth Amendment rights. This is why, like,
Not only that, but what
I don't
happens if
take
they let him go and then he hurt somebody?
Yeah. And then the cops are liable for it.
Who's negligent?
It's just
on
like,
that?
I can't take some of these people seriously.
It's fucked up, man.
Yeah. And then we have a situation in Chicago, which is a lot less straightforward. I think that the one in Minneapolis is straightforward.
Yeah, the one in Minneapolis,
she's going to go to jail.
Pretty straightforward.
And she's going to go to jail.
Yeah.
But the one in Chicago is not very
Yeah.
straightforward at all, and it's also a tragedy.
It is. A 13-year-old who the media and everyone says was unarmed, allegedly,
Right.
was shot and killed by a police officer.
Correct.
Now,
He was armed. He had a gun.
he did have a gun on him.
He was shooting at cars.
Yeah.
Like, this is like the
Now,
things that are left out. you
Right.
know?
My whole thing is, so you watch the video, the cop shoves the 21-year-old to the ground and he chases the 13-year-old. 13-year-old comes up to a fence, throws the gun behind the fence, turns around, puts his hands up, right? When the cop orders him to. In that split second, you're a police officer and you have to say, all right, this guy just had a gun on him and he's turning around on me.
Right.
What do I do?
The whole thing is the kid like runs up, stops, turns around, and puts his hands up in a matter of what, half a second. So
Not even half a
right.
second.
So
It
the
was-
problem is, like, how do you determine that like there's no gun?
especially in Chicago, like we look at this through rose-colored glasses in New York, and New York, parts of New York are very rough, but like fucking Chicago, man. I mean, you have to expect the worst there.
Yeah.
And you know, why the fuck also does a now I am going to kind of victim blame here a little bit. Why the fuck does a 13-year-old running around with a gun shooting at cars?
What we should be talking about is, one, why is there a 13-year-old out that late shooting at cars? Two, how did a 13-year-old get a gun?
Exactly.
You can't own a gun at 13.
No, you
in
can't.
Chicago, in
Anywhere.
the land of, you know, gun is the enemy.
Right.
And you know, like,
why the
why
fuck
are we not
does a 13-year-old have a gun
And-
running around
yeah.
shooting at cars with somebody who's old enough to probably know better?
right?
You know, you
And-
can only blame a kid for so much, but then, you know, at what point is it a fail of the parents? Is it a fail of the community?
Mm.
Everyone wants to talk about community this, community that. Well, there's a 13-year-old with a fucking pistol shooting at people. Like,
Yeah.
where's the fucking community?
When you watch the video, and don't watch anything on CNN because they actually cropped out the picture of they cropped, like, because he like puts his hands up, and you could like see at one point he has the gun in his hand, like based on where it was. They like totally just like failed to put that
And he
out.
threw it behind the
Right.
fence because
He,
the
like-
gun was found behind the fence.
There's actually video footage of him throwing it behind the fence. I don't know if you saw it.
I
It's like
saw,
really shitty video
well, he
footage.
stopped and then
He like
he
throws it.
Yeah, he throws it and then he turns around. And then the gun is found kind of like upside down along the fence.
Where he runs up. He had it in his right hand.
Yeah.
Runs up to like a hole in the fence. Basically, like he's the way his body turns is he like drops it and then immediately puts his hands up in the air. Like, you look like you have a gun in your hand, man.
You know, I'm not a cop. I'm not in that situation. And, you know, I feel for somebody who has to make that decision. And, you know,
Yeah.
I'm
I
going to
don't-
say that I can't
Yeah.
tell whether or not it's a good shoot. I'm not in that position. But what I will say is that
I think it's
give
gonna
the
be-
cop the benefit of the doubt in this situation.
I think it's going to be determined down the line. I even think a lot of people were saying it was a good shoot just
Well,
based on the whole
And
The problem is it was
it's a fucked up situation.
It
There
is.
shouldn't have been a
It
fucking
is.
13-year-old running around with a gun. Like, and this is what I talk about, and this is what I tell people. It's like gun safety and being there for your kids and teaching your kids good morals, it goes a long way. You don't need gun control if people aren't fucking,
You really need like
animals. They're not if
people
they're
control.
not fucking criminals.
You don't need gun control. People need to control themselves.
Thank you. People need to control their fucking kids.
Right.
Sorry, I'm getting like annoyed at this, but it's just like, they want to blame everything on guns and they want to blame everything on gun owners. Well, we're not the ones giving fucking handguns to 13-year-olds and telling them go have fun, go shoot at people randomly, go do drive-bys. You know what I mean? And that's what gets me annoyed is just like you want to try and limit my rights because there's a bunch of criminals out there that are causing chaos in inner cities.
Right, and that's really what it comes down to, man.
And then nobody wants to address the fact they say it's mass shootings in drive-bys in inner cities, yet nobody wants to address it only when there's a high-profile, quote, mass shooting that fits their agenda to ban, guns.
Right.
They don't want to talk about the other ones. They don't want to talk about gang violence. They don't want to talk about socioeconomic problems that perpetuate these issues.
Right.
So that's what gets me really fucking annoyed. I just want my old-ass fucking guns. Like...
Yeah. There's just so many things.
I get so fucking riled up.
We're going to hear a lot about every police-involved shooting that comes down.
Right.
Oh, what's actually crazy? In the wake of all these police-involved shootings, they had just determined that the police-involved shooting at the Capitol, where the Capitol Police shot an unarmed woman, was a total good shoot.
Right.
How the fuck was that a good shoot?
So when can I go get my washing machine during the riot?
Just amazing.
Can we start rioting now?
Just think about that, though. She was unarmed. If that was another type of situation, it would have been a lot different, man. So
yeah, I don't get it, man. She was a veteran. She was unarmed, and you know what? You want to call it wrong place.
Should she have been there? No, but did she deserve to die for it? No.
And you know what? That's what the left chants about a lot of these shootings and about a lot of these victims. Well, how about let's join hands and get together on the right side of the aisle on this issue? I hate to sound like such an asshole, John. I really do. But
you're doing a good job at it.
It does get me annoyed.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, it's sorry everybody for listening to my ranting, but like I said, they want to. There's I think Colleen Noir says it best. There's a culture war, and they want to take away your guns. It's basically a left versus right country now. There's really no in between. There's no common sense middle ground. Everybody's so fucking polarized. So sometimes I feel like people like me who are just standing there like, let's just why are we doing this? You know what I mean? And then the price of ammo is skyrocketing, and I can't fucking find a good price gun to save my fucking life anywhere.
Right.
I was looking at stuff on Gunbroker and the prices of ammo, and I'm just like, Jesus. I sent a screenshot to you. I think. What was it? 30-06. They wanted $2.50 a shot for.
Wow.
And I'm like, 50 BMG, the cheapest I could find it right now is $3 a shot. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I can't find 9mm anywhere to save my life. I mean, 9mm, it's affordable. There's places locally that have 9mm. But, I mean, you're going to be paying for it.
No, I'm just waiting for it to come back on Target Sports.
Good luck, bro.
10 years from now.
Good luck.
Eventually.
And even then, other websites, it's crazy expensive. I mean, I'm lucky I shoot the Commie calibers where it's, still mildly affordable. It's still double the price, but 7.62x39 is 40 cents a shot. That's what the high end of 5.56 used to be. But,
I mean, we're supposed to be going to this machine gun shoot. Dude, it's gonna be $100 a fucking mag.
The last machine gun shoot I went to in September, it wasn't. It was the same price as the one that I went to previously.
They must have deals where they
maybe
buy
distributors
a mass
or
amount.
something, or they had stock, or who knows. I can't wait for that, man. That's gonna be fucking nice. I think this time I'm gonna pony up, and if they have the Finnish L39 Lottie, I'm gonna shoot that.
Was it $60?
It was $100 a shot for a 20mm anti-tank rifle.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, the thing sets off car alarms. It busted out when they shot it. It busted out the window of an ambulance that was behind it.
Shouldn't have parked so close.
It was an ambulance that was there for safety, and then
of course.
So there was the shooting line, a walkway, and then they had the ambulance behind there, and they fucking shot and just busted out the fucking window.
I wonder how they explained that one to their boss.
Finnish.
I swear to God, it was the concussion of the rounds.
Oh my God.
Good luck.
Thing is fucking wily, man.
All right. You have anything else to say?
I really do want to thank people for listening in and tuning into us. I know as of late, things have been a little crazy with our schedule. We were doing 2 episodes a week, and now sometimes we only do 1. And, it's just we're 2 regular guys. This isn't what we do to make a living, and we just do this. We don't get anything from it. We don't make any money from it. Actually, we've spent money to do this. So, but it's something that John and I do enjoy doing. So I really do want to thank people for listening and checking in on us when we haven't posted an episode in a while.
Yeah. We didn't
shout
get deplatformed yet.
Shout out to our listener over in the UK who sent us cool pictures of his AR-15, Olympic Arms AR-15 that they get over there. Where over in the UK, they just give you a suppressor with it. A suppressor isn't a regulated, I mean, it's treated like a firearm over there, but he was saying it's actually rude if you shoot without a suppressor.
There was, it's funny. There was a guy who was just arrested. He had an AK-47 in the city.
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, or who was that? The guy who did the shooting in with the FedEx shooting? I forget.
What?
What gun did he have?
They don't know. They didn't release. They just said a rifle.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So it was somebody in the city had an AK-47. They're walking around. A coworker of mine was like, "You see, they had an AK," and I was just like, and these, surprisingly enough, this is somebody who is pro gun control, and yeah, well, it is what it is. So I'm not gonna talk bad about anybody, but she was like, "You see," and I was just like, "Yeah, but like handguns are illegal too, and like look how many handgun arrests we get." She's like, "Yeah, I guess that makes sense. They're gonna get them anyway." I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." So and like I didn't want to get into it, but like really the answer is then like if they're gonna get it anyway and they're illegal, then why can't I have one? You know, so that's all we got time for today. I think.
Yeah. John,
you gotta
get some sleep.
I gotta get some sleep. I have work, and then you have a child, so you have work too.
Yeah, actually, I got the day off today.
Good for you.
I got my own. My wife texted me. She's like, "I'm gonna take our son and bring him over to her girlfriend's house. We're gonna have a girlfriend day and just hang out and give you the day off." I'm like, "Thank you."
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go home and go through some of my military and my collectibles and organize and maybe. John's giving me the up and down hand motion.
If only you guys knew. All right, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah.
You can check out our other stuff on NYGunGuys. What is
Facebook, Instagram.
You do the outro today.
All right. So be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Podbean, wherever else you get your podcasts from. Sometimes we post on Instagram, sometimes we post on Facebook to try and spice things up. Guys, give us a like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts because honestly it helps us out. And thanks for everyone who reaches out to us, comments, and shares their cool pictures of their guns with us. And that's all for today.
This guy's good. I'm going to hire you.
Hell yeah.
You got the job. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me get a stay safe.
Stay safe.